Hi guys, welcome back to the Drive Life channel, and in today's video we're going to be talking about why I haven't bought and why I'm not planning to buy a new Volvo. And when I mean a new Volvo, I mean the CMA platform, the sort of 2017 onwards, the new nicer looking cars I suppose you call them, the ones with the horizontal, the vertical portrait iPad style infotainment system inside, or the ones with like the Thor hammer headlights. So yeah, there's several reasons, and I've broken them down into sort of logical sense, so I can sort of talk you guys through them. But the main reason is finances. Now, while I've easily got the £200-300 a month to spend on financing a new Volvo, I just don't see the point. When this car I own outright, it doesn't owe me anything, and for the sake of driving a slightly older car, to save myself £300 a month is easily worth it. This makes a lot more sense when you consider how much interest you pay when you finance a car. If I was to hire purchase a £20,000 car, it would cost me around £400 a month over a 4-year term, but I'd probably pay, and that's actually pretty cheap, I would probably pay over £3 in interest. Now, if I broke that £3 down over the 4 years, that's over £500 a year extra on top of not even owning the car. So you're not even buying into the car, you're actually spending £500 just for the pleasure of financing the car, which to me just doesn't make sense. That is a new shock absorber every year. So this car, while it's running and while it's doing everything it needs to, it just doesn't need, it just doesn't make financial sense to change it. It's reliable, it's comfortable. It just, yeah, there's no point in changing this car. I can't physically work out a situation where I benefit from it. Now, in terms of safety and everything, again, the new Volvos haven't made that many leaps and bounds. The only difference is with the radars and everything like that. But that's to stop people not paying attention. So if you pay attention and you drive sensibly, then you don't need any of that stuff either. Now, the next thing is the engines. Now, in the new cars, you can only get 2 litres, pretty much, or smaller. Now, I love the sound of this 5-cylinder engine. I love the way it drives, I love the performance, and although I could get better performance from the new D5, which is about 230 horsepower, I think, it doesn't have the same show, or not the same show, but it doesn't give you the same soundtrack, which is a big thing for me. I like it when the rare opportunity where I do put my foot down, where I'm not cruising backwards and forwards to work on the cruise control at 55 miles an hour behind a tractor. I like to enjoy that sound, and in the newer cars that sound just doesn't come through as well. I also have reservations about the reliability of those engines. The D5 is a tried and true perfect platform, the 2.45 cylinders. It's well within its limits, it's well built, it's robust, it's reliable, and so far, touch wood, hasn't given me any issues whatsoever. Whereas the newer cars, a lot of people have been reporting EGR problems, DPF issues on cars that are 2-3 years old, which, yeah, for me just concerns me a little. There's been quite a few warranty claims as well on the CMA platform cars. Don't get me wrong, there of course was on these cars. However, I'd like to think at nearly 100,000 miles and 12 years old that this car has gone through that, and just is, yeah, there's genuinely no reason I can think of to change it. Now, having sat and driven one of the newer cars as well, the comfort inside isn't as good as in these P3 cars. The seats aren't as sort of big and squishy, meaning that you don't have that level of comfort that these older cars give you. And this might be because it's an older car, so the seats have started to give more, but I could literally sit in this car and drive hours, whereas in the new CMA cars, the seats are much firmer and I just couldn't get on with them. I mean, I'm not a small person, so having a nice wide squishy seat is lovely. Now finally, my final reason, well actually there's two more reasons to go, is the interior. Now I love the simplicity of this interior. The sat-nav isn't the best, but it tucks away and you don't have to worry about it. You've got nice clear dials, which is again physical, mechanical, there's no issues there. And you've got a nice simple timeless layout here. Now my concern is with the portrait mounted iPad style infotainment system, that it will soon become outdated. Volvo will start to charge you to update it, and it'll essentially become like a laptop. In 10 years time it will be utterly useless, whereas on this car everything has a physical button. On the CMA cars you have to literally, if you want the heated seat on, you have to go through the screen. Now if that screen fails, or there's a computer module failure, or you need to update it, or things like that, you just lose a lot of the functionality from the car from one piece, whereas these are all individual buttons, all individual systems, and if one thing breaks, it doesn't break the whole lot. Now this might be sort of unnecessary worry from me, but it's just, yeah, something that I am considering, and one of the reasons why I'm reluctant to move into a newer car is that I like this sort of simple setup. And this interior design as well is just nice and easy. Don't get me wrong, the new cars inside are beautiful, but there's a lot of piano black plastics, which is one thing I love about this car, is there's none. There's only that there, but realistically that's not that bad. But as you can see, it's all scratched, and the few newer cars that I've been in, there was a car that had 7 miles on it and there were already scratches on the piano black plastic, so that just drives me mad, that stuff. Now finally, the final thing is, it's a bit of a silly one really, but for me it's the wheel size. Now cars nowadays are getting bigger, and as such so are the wheels to make them look in proportion, and on these newer cars you just cannot get wheels with a decent sidewall. Now these are 17-inch wheels, and if I wanted a 17-inch wheel on new cars I'd have to get the absolute base spec Momentum, which means that you essentially don't get as much kit on the cars, and you lose out. Whereas on these older cars you can opt for smaller wheels, you get the same amount of kit, and it just makes a lot more sense. The newer wheels, 20, 19, 18s, are much more likely to suffer issues with potholes. The one that I had a look at the other day, the guy said that on the 20-inch wheels, he's had them refurbished twice in 3 years to have them repaired because of the size of them and the lack of tyres. He was going through tyres every 7,000 miles. It just doesn't make sense. So yeah, that's it really. Those are a few reasons why I haven't or won't be going to a more modern Volvo. It's each their own, I suppose. If you're already in the sort of financing game, it makes sense, but for me to go from owning my car outright to then paying £300 a month for essentially the same experience, or not much of an improvement to the experience, I just can't justify it. So yeah, let me know your thoughts, guys. Let me know if you have experienced a CMA car, or if you own one, or let me know why you're going to hold on to your older Volvo, and I will see you next video. Cheers.